All 6 people on board and 1 person on the ground were killed. At least 19 others were hurt. Right now, investigators are searching for the plane's black box amid a vast debris field. They hope it can give clues about what caused the jet to go down. The NTSB classifies the crash as an accident.
And that's Fox's Chanley Painter. The company that runs the medical flights also had another crash, this one back in 2023, that killed 5 people in Mexico. Officials say preliminary data from that mid-air collision Wednesday night in Washington, D.C. shows conflicting altitude readings between an airliner and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. That crash happening Wednesday, killing all 64 people on the plane, 3 soldiers on that chopper. Data from the jet's flight recorder showing at 325 feet, while control tower data placed the helicopter at 200 feet, a 100-foot discrepancy. Investigators have yet to explain that. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's fighting back against President Trump's order of 25% tariffs on some Canadian and Mexican goods, 10% on some Chinese imports. Mr. Trudeau is urging his country to buy Canadian and not American.
It might mean checking the labels at the supermarket and picking Canadian-made products. It might mean opting for Canadian rye over Kentucky bourbon, or foregoing Florida orange juice altogether. It might mean changing your summer vacation plans to stay here in Canada.
Economists say those tariffs could push Canada into a recession. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we are going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Told to exit, escalated from there. It's 39 degrees and cloudy. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:03. A man was asked to leave a bar in Fishers. Then he opened fire. As a bartender was leaving the scene, he saw Ronald Leach in a turn lane over by a stoplight, so they drove the other way. Leach then opened fire and shot the bartender's car. The bartender was okay, and they told police what happened after they arrived on Exit 5 Parkway. Officers say Leach was under the influence and was taken to Hamilton County Jail. If you are planning to collect a pension after retirement, you may be wondering if it'll be enough, especially with inflation.
Some pension plans are protected for inflation, but most of them are not. So individuals have to create portfolios by investing in inflation-protect securities, for example.
Purdue Associate Professor of Finance Denise Yavuz, he urges you to become familiar with your pension plan's eligibility requirements. By now, you are probably aware of the fatal collision between an American Airlines flight and a military helicopter in Washington, D.C.
One Hoosier skating coach says she knew some of the victims. I'm Sasha Nixon. Fort Wayne-based coach Alina Lunin says she had been friends with former Russian world champion skaters Eugenia Shishkova and Vadim Namov since they were 14 years old.
Our son is the same age too, so my son competed with their son when they were younger, so it's extremely heartbreaking news for me.
The two were among the more than 60 people believed killed in the collision. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
Here's the forecast from New American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Cloudy to mostly cloudy skies are expected for this Groundhog Day. High temperatures in the lower 50s. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low temperatures in the low 40s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Jake McDaniel, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's a harsh fact of life, but failure is inevitable.
You can work harder than you ever thought possible and still lose.
Sometimes, someone else is simply better than you.
While life teaches us that we will sometimes lose, education-based athletics teach us how to deal with those losses in a mentally healthy way. I'm Bella Miller-Krieger from University High School.
And I'm Charlie Hosnow from Forest Park High School. With our coaches and teammates supporting us, student athletes learn how to move past the letdown and focus on the next point, the next play, and the next game.
We learn that negative energy is wasted energy, and that no matter how many times we fall short, as long as we are learning and never give up, we'll ultimately win.
I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty. Be a champion of high school sports and the resiliency they build by buying a ticket to your high school's athletic events. This is overcoming adversity. This is developing mental toughness. This is your IHSAA.
Good morning, Central Indiana, and welcome to the first day, the WIBC Sunday Magazine Show. It is February 2nd, excuse me. It's Groundhog Day. Now, we just, we just came up, you came like us. We're listening to the news, and the news is tough. It really is. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's in the news this hour and next hour. But we also kind of want to do some uplifting stuff. It is Groundhog Day, if that's okay.
Yeah, I wonder if Pat Sullivan saw a shadow. I didn't reach out to see what the broadcast said on that
he's
one.
probably as grumpy as the groundhog. Happened to be pulled out of your little home.
I know.
Into the cold. Did you see how bundled up everybody was in Punxsutawney, Philadelphia? It was like 17 degrees this morning.
If you look real carefully, you saw a little bit of a shiver in his fur, too. So I bet the little guy got cold.
Well, he says six more weeks of winter.
He's lying.
Can I rant some more on that?
If you'd like. I mean, he's only been like 30% correct.
I don't understand it.
I know.
Why is it when he sees his shadow, theoretically, there should be sun to make a shadow? Why is that the determining factor for winter?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Now, wait a minute, ladies. You know that 6 weeks from now is the first day of spring.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether he sees it or not.
Right.
Well, am I getting more snow or not?
Are we? Come on. We've been sucked into this.
Y'all are thinking way too hard about it. It's a fun celebration for thousands of people. And they come from everywhere, and they dress up, and they wear their groundhog hats and their sweaters and stuff, and they have the best time. And they've stood through some awful weather to see this Punxsutawney Phil.
And Pat Sullivan wears his khakis and his polo shirt and his Sullivan hat. Yeah.
Now, here in Indiana, in Hope, Indiana, in fact, which I think is up around Shipshewana, they have, they used to have Grubby, Grubby the groundhog, and Grubby died. And they brought in Hope for Hope, Indiana, new groundhog. So she's been at it for about 4 or 5 years, and she's, she does okay. So there's a big celebration that happens in Hope, Indiana, similar, not as many people, but quite a few with, that come out for it to see what Hope discovers and what her prediction is for a winter. Do we have a little bit of that sound? We do not, but I'll tell you what.
She's about 80% right. I had heard that she's better than Punxsutawney
She's
guy.
becoming nationally known. So she also predicted 6 more weeks of winter because she saw her shadow. And again, we couldn't understand because we were watching the video, and it's as cloudy there as it is here.
But they have so many television lights, Kielynn, that you're going to see a shadow from something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
It's a rig.
Newport Aquarium in Kentucky, they have Persephone, the prognosticating rhinoceros iguana.
Wow.
Can we just stick with Hope? Hope is much better. Persephone chose to eat her morning salad from the 6 more weeks of winter bowl as well. So there's another prediction adding towards the winter.
Persephone.
Wow. Okay. See, it's not just Punxsutawney Phil. So that happened.
Anything to get us away from the news.
Well, can I share another thing that happened then?
Okay.
Best night ever last night. The Pacers win.
Yes.
Amazing.
3
But
in a row
also,
now.
congratulations to Ashley and George Turner. They had their baby boy last month. And can you guess what his name is?
Is it Pacers?
Terry.
Rumble?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to get the tie-in.
Ashley and George Turner. Miles Turner.
Oh, Miles Turner.
Yes.
They named their baby
Their
Miles.
baby Miles.
I wasn't thinking that.
And Pacers gifted them a pair of courtside tickets and a one-on-one experience to meet the Miles Turner before the game last night.
Look at him.
Your best friend.
You are precious.
That's
I don't even know how to put it into words, man. It's a legend right here. Big 20 on the center. Y'all enjoy the game, man. Swim, man. We good.
I love Ashley so much.
good.
She's such a
That's
sweetheart,
cool.
and they deserve it.
I love that
Congratulations,
story.
Ashley.
Good story. Okay, a couple more good stories. We like the good stories, right? I think they are in Iowa today. They are retiring, or tonight retiring, Caitlin Clark's jersey, and they're having all kinds of celebrations out there. NASCAR starts today.
Oh, that's
tonight.
right.
And that's always hopeful about spring, and that's good news. February means we get almost an extra hour of daylight. I love that.
Woo!
But, Cup Series starts
Like
tonight
that.
with the clash at Bowman Gray. I think it's Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 8 o'clock on Fox. And then the Daytona 500 coming up Sunday, 16th of February. We did have a tragic week, and I know everybody feels just a little bit of something. Just doesn't feel the same. Just been a tough week. But here in Indianapolis, these last few days have been super fun.
What a party.
It has been super fun for all the fans. I think. Did they have a good time? Was it everything it was cracked up to be?
It sure looked like it to me.
Felt
I
like it,
mean,
too.
obviously I didn't go, but I just thought
All
it
of
looked
the
like a
merch
party.
walking around.
All of it. The
They were
belts.
so.
What's with the blue chains? I saw kids with big blue chains.
I don't know what that
who
means.
that's about. I'll have to ask Kyle.
We'll have to ask our next guest.
That's right, because coming up, one of the biggest, finest wrestling fans and wrestler himself. And
Mega Mondo,
former producer here at WIBC with all the shows. And the Kyle Wells will join us to tell us, was it everything it was cracked up to be here in Indianapolis? We'll find out after the break on 93 WIBC.
This is from John Cena's final Royal Rumble moment.
Oh, boy.
That the fans got to witness.
Emotional. How about that? Hey, WWE brought their biggest and their most iconic events to Indianapolis in a years-long partnership with the Indiana Sports Corp. Hammer and Nigel scored some press credentials for one of our all-time favorite producers and wrestler himself, the Kyle Wells, who's here to tell us, was it worth every penny? Kyle, how are you?
Terry, it was worth everything, and I am still recovering, or else I would be there with you in studio.
Recovering. So what was it like? What was it like for you and for so many thousands of others?
Rowdy, raucous, wild, chaos, insane, nuts, bananas, pandemonium was running wild at Lucas Oil Stadium. Terry, there were 70,000 plus screaming WWE fans that packed Lucas Oil Stadium, and they were loud all night long. It was incredible.
That's so cool. Denny?
Mega Mondo, you were my producer for a while. You were born and bred to be a big-time wrestler.
Uh-huh.
So did you feel the adrenaline start early on when the music started, or was it just, you've got to be worn out just from an adrenaline rush?
He was going since Friday, right? Since Thursday.
Since Thursday. Well, I was actually at the Pacers-Pistons WWE night Wednesday, so I've been going since Wednesday. But, Denny, it's really good to hear your voice, too. You're one of the all-time greats on WIBC right there with Terri Stacy. And let me tell you, I wanted to be a participant in the Royal Rumble. That is how much my adrenaline was just rushing and running wild. I was so hoping that I would get the call from WWE. I didn't, but that's okay. That's okay.
Do you think you could take one of the hits from one of the big-time guys? I mean, somebody who's up on the top rope, he makes a flying leap. Could you take that type of a hit? I don't think I could.
Well, don't sell yourself short, Denny. I think you could. But, yes, I definitely could. I am trained to take those kind of bumps. And I have been waiting my whole life to get in a WWE ring to take a bump like that.
That's so funny.
Well,
I know you have. And here's the thing. When I was looking at the history of wrestling here, because I remember as a kid, and I told you the call I made yesterday, call I made when I was a kid to Dick the Bruiser on WIBC with Jerry Baker. And so I know there's this rich history. And when I was kind of doing my research, Kyle, it looks like that we really have some great places you can learn wrestling. You can do through all different ways, including the Wrestling Theology Fellowship, which I thought was interesting.
Wrestling Theology Fellowship. WTF.
Yeah.
You get it?
How did you become a wrestling? Yes, I do.
Okay.
How did Kyle? You didn't go to school or anything for it, did you?
I did not. I went to Ball State University for telecommunications, which landed me there at WIBC. But I've always been a wrestling fan my entire life. My dad and my nana, his mom, they actually took me to the Hoosier Dome, brother, back in 1992 for WrestleMania 8. So I was there as a 5-year-old boy, and at a very early age, I knew that I was going to fall in love with professional wrestling. And here I am, getting close to 40. I don't know how that's possible.
I don't know how it is.
Well, as a kid, did you ever remember bouncing on your bed and then doing a flying leap onto the floor or tackling something on the floor as a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
I bet you did.
It was my sister until my dad said, hey, if you're going to do those moves on your sister, I'm going to do those moves on you. Stop picking on your sister.
Wow.
So I wrestled with wrestling buddies that Tonka put out back in the early 90s. And then I had a bunch of action figures, WWF Hasbros. I played with action figures, so I'd sit in the middle of like my Nana's living room. And that was the best way, because I was a very hyper kid. That was the best way to conserve my energy in that area of her living room by putting on old VHS tapes of Hulk Hogan and Indiana's own The Ultimate Warrior. And I was busy for hours.
That's so
You
cute.
know what? You have more enthusiasm. I don't think people ever appreciate it, just how enthusiastic you were. You might think it's hyperactivity. I think it's
But he
just
had,
enthusiasm
such a
for
passion
life.
for everything.
I'll
Kielynn?
say that adds to the character of your wrestler, your mega mondo. And you mentioned bananas earlier, how crazy bananas the weekend has been. Can you give us one of? Yeah. Oh, don't you worry. You're so good. Can you give us a mega mondo for the radio?
Oh,
right off
yes,
this, like,
I can.
I know,
Right on the
I know,
spot.
putting you on.
Let me get into the
takes
character.
3 beers.
All right, go ahead. We'll wait.
This is Mega Mondo, and you're listening to Terri Stacy, Denny Smith, and Kielynn Kelly on WIBC. Let's go bananas and always eat your potassium.
You know what? It's sort of a Bernie Sanders accent.
That's amazing.
So good.
And always have
Uncle
Oh
Bernie
my
there.
gosh! You know what? I'll never forget one of these. I never forget Kyle anyway. But Kyle gave me one of the most spectacular moments of my life here in this building, and that is I was up on the second floor leaving the building. He was coming in, and he was on the lobby floor, and he yelled up to me did the whole Mega Mondo thing, and he yelled Terri Stacy, my favorite, and all these cool things, and it just echoed throughout the lobby. It was like a real wrestling match, and this wrestler was calling out my name, and it was so cool. Give us what was the best moment about this weekend?
Oh, my goodness. I think just seeing all the wrestling fans in our city of Indianapolis, and I have been advocating for a very long time for bigger WWE PLEs to come to our city. And I think after this weekend, we proved ourselves that we can do anything in this city. I mean, we literally host everything. And finally, after all those years of advocating and promoting on WIBC and on my personal podcast and just telling everybody who will listen to me, WrestleMania is going to come back to Indianapolis one day. And finally, here we are in the next few years. WrestleMania is going to be coming back to Indianapolis. So I think that was probably my favorite part, was just seeing people from all walks of life, from all over the world. I mean, people flew in from out of the country to Indianapolis to attend the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, this is a, global phenomenon, and it's only getting bigger and better. Triple H is doing a phenomenal job. He runs WWE with Nick Khan. Those two guys have really launched WWE into the next level, where now it's cool to watch professional wrestling. You don't have to worry about people making fun of you and telling you it's fake, because it's not fake.
It's so cool, because it's not fake. You're absolutely right.
I didn't go there. That was Terry. It wasn't me, Mondo.
Well, I always wondered if there was somebody, a script writer, and I always wanted to meet, if there was a script writer, I wanted to meet that person to find out how they do this, how they make these soap opera type things
You think they're
occur within
choreographed?
WWE. Well, sometimes, but that's part of the fun.
This ain't
whether you
figure
know or you
skating.
don't know, but it's really fun. John Cena saying goodbye, like this was his last one, right? Of the and that was a big deal. Sounded like Kielynn played the audio. Sounded like a big deal.
It was, Terry. And I mean, I've been a John Cena fan for a very long time. He's actually one of my biggest inspirations in my life. And when I decided to finally step inside the squared circle and become a local professional wrestler here on the independent circuit, I really modeled myself after John Cena. I mean, he's a class act. He's a very genuine dude. I've had the honor and privilege to, interact with him several occasions. And now that this is his last year as an in-ring performer, it's going to be a very emotional year. And you heard it last night. The Indianapolis crowd gave him a wonderful, well-deserving ovation. 70,000 fans got to witness John Cena's last Royal Rumble. and he made it to the final two, and he got eliminated, and it broke my heart, Terry.
I'm sure it did, but I didn't even want to bring it up because I knew that it would bring out emotion in you, and I didn't want to bring it up. But
sometimes there aren't fairy tale endings.
Kind of sad, maybe. You know,
almost sounds like someone's going to have to step up into his shoes, Mega. I mean,
I'd be honored. I would be honored to. We call that the passing the torch moment in the wrestling biz. I'd love it.
Yeah,
I think I got another 20 years in me.
I definitely
Can you
do.
sell the hefty trash bags, though? I mean, you got to say hefty, hefty, hefty.
Yeah, you do.
Hefty, absolutely. You know, as a matter of fact, my fiance and I, we have hefty trash bags.
Whoa.
John Cena.
Fiance?
He's been engaged for a while now.
Oh, this is cool. You know what? I will say this and put it on the record. The Kyle Wells will make one of the best husbands and fathers that ever came across Indianapolis.
I think so, too.
I appreciate that, Denny.
What a class
Thank you.
guy.
Well, guys, this is really just the beginning, and it brings a lot of money to us. I thought I saw maybe $300 million, but when it's all said and done, because this is the beginning, Lucas Oil will host a 2-night Summer Slam and a 2-night WrestleMania, which are the crown jewels of WWE's premium live events, and they're going to, again, expect to draw thousands and thousands of people here. So we're glad we got them because they're bringing a lot of money, and everybody's having a great time. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for spending time with us on a Sunday.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. I love you all. I miss you all. And just keep running wild and being great. And you guys are awesome. I appreciate it.
We miss you, too. You're
Stay mega.
Good man. All right. It's 11:28. News is coming up next on 93 WIBC.
Planning to propose this Valentine's Day? Shane Company.
I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things.
I love him so much.
It's 11:35.
Benson Boone with Beautiful Things, if you don't know it, because Terry didn't know him. I have to call you out, Terry. You're going to have to turn on the Grammys tonight and watch him. He's going to be one of the performers tonight, 8 p.m. Turn it on.
It can't be better than your karaoke I've been watching. Yeah.
She's loves
I wish
this
we
song.
had her on the video.
I do
right
too. Are we on video?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, we're on
man.
YouTube.
Yeah, you got my. I'm so sorry, everybody. You have to see my profile. I do like this song. Denny coming up with dollars and cents. What do you got, Denny? Please tell me it's tariffs.
We're going to talk about tariffs.
Thank you.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, how it's being used. And, there's a lot behind the scenes that none of us can see, but it'll be an I'm just going to scratch the surface and get your minds thinking.
Good. I think it's important.
So much
Those
happening.
Tariffs started yesterday. We'll also keep you up to date on the very latest as the investigation continues of the crash of the jet rescue air ambulance in northeast Pennsylvania Friday evening. Oh, boy, it was awful. Killing all 6 on board, including 4 crew members, 2 passengers, 1 pediatric patient, and it's just heartbreaking. 7th person was killed on the ground. That flight in maybe a minute in the air before something happened. People still talking about the mid-air collision of the American Airlines passenger plane. That investigation continues. That passenger plane, that mid-air collision with a Black Hawk helicopter. 239-9393 is our number. Well, on the phone with us this morning is Elizabeth McCormick, a decorated former United States Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot who flew command and control air assault, repelling, top secret intelligence missions, and also transported high-level government VIPs, including the Secretary of Defense. And it is such a pleasure to have you with us. Good morning. How are you, Elizabeth?
Well, it's been a week.
Absolutely. This particular type of Black Hawk helicopter does not have your typical type of black box recorder, I'm told. And since we're hearing so much about the black box recorders right now, and that they have to rely mostly on exterior recordings from air traffic control, is that sound about right?
So, in general, Black Hawks and military aircraft would just have a data recorder. But what the NTSB has retrieved is what's called a combined recorder, which does do voice and data both in one box. So they will have a cockpit recording, and they're currently, my understanding is they're transcribing that and checking that for accuracy before it gets released. That's going to answer so many questions for us.
How long were you a pilot for and flying Black Hawk helicopters?
So in total, I was a pilot for just under 8 years and served for part of that in training and where I flew Hueys. I flew Black Hawks for about 5.5, 6 years of the 8 years I served.
Denny?
Chief McCormick, this is Denny Smith. I'm a wannabe pilot, just a private pilot, but all of us as pilots are saying, where was the SSR? Where was the secondary surveillance radar, and where was the ADS-B? Do military aircraft not have that?
So military aircraft does not have the TCAS system that would be on civilian aircraft, and especially on the jet had that. The current military, when I flew, we didn't have this, but the current military aircraft, some of them have the ADS-B. At a lower altitude, it goes in a standby mode because it thinks there's so much ground clutter. And at that lower altitude, the TCAS doesn't work under 1,000 feet because it assumes that the pilots are in a final approach or taking off, and those are the most critical times for a pilot's awareness.
Have you flown that route in a Black Hawk helicopter along that river in Washington, D.C.? Have you done that path?
I have not done that path. I was stationed up in New York at Fort Drum and had done the Hudson Bay and the New York City routes. So I have flown in congested air traffic in that area. And I've also studied, since this happened, I have looked at the charts, so I'm familiar with the helicopter routing that this occurred at.
I would think the New York airspace is even crazier than Washington, D.C., so you must know your stuff for sure. Hey, what about the crew? We're told that Black Hawk can have a crew of anywhere from 3 to 5. What was the crew situation on that Black Hawk that evening?
So it was immediately reported that there was a crew of 3, and to me that was a red flag. Flying a visual flight, night vision goggles, in that airspace that's that congested and crowded, it really should have been a minimum crew of 4.
Yeah.
Even though it was just a training, but just any flights in that area, in my opinion, should be a crew of 4. And when flying visual in airspace like that, I think that needs to be a policy change.
I keep hearing the words sight lines. I don't know what that means. So the sight lines in a Black Hawk helicopter. What does that mean?
So you have limited visibility, right? So they were flying a visual flight plan, which meant the responsibility of them was to maintain their visual separation from themselves and any other aircraft or any other obstacles, buildings. We find out in advance if there's cranes, power lines, things like that are obstacles. Sight line is what can they see from their seat where they are. So a pilot typically can see they overlap in the front and can see to around the 3 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock position if they can turn their head that far, right? So that's why we need crew chiefs in the back that can help deconflict and clear, because we'll say we're clear right, and then the crew chief would verify clear right, and we'll turn and clear right and turn right. It's that 3 steps of communication. So sight line visual is typically whatever we could see around the windows from our seat. With night vision goggles, that sight line, it narrows because you're looking through, like I've said on some media, like toilet paper tubes. Oh. So, imagine you're looking through toilet paper tubes. You could see, and then on top of looking out, and you have to physically move your head. You can't use your eyes to scan. You have to move your head. So it is a very tiring flight mode. And then you're looking underneath the goggles to check your instruments. And it's like we call it the scan. It's very important to have a very active scan during that time, flying night vision goggles. What we don't know is, did they have their goggles on that close to the airport with all the ambient lighting, or did they flip? You can flip and lock them up at times when there's that much lighting. And so that could have affected their visibility and what they were doing.
Elizabeth McCormick is a retired former U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot. I fly rotorcraft, but I am always close to the deck, but I'm always aware of where everybody else is. How will the Army use this? Mid-air collisions are just not usually survivable. I guess everybody you can see it, but how will the Army use this as a training platform now?
So after I was involved in what we call a Class A, which is anytime there's over $1 million of damage or loss of life. I wasn't exactly involved. I got out of the helicopter. Another pilot got in, and then they crashed it. So it was they were hovering and kind of drifted. It was during night vision goggles in blowing snow. And every year at Fort Drum, we had to requalify with an instructor pilot the first snow of the year.
Elizabeth, I'm afraid to fly when the winds are over 10 knots and their sun's not shining. You guys are courageous beyond belief.
They really are.
Oh my goodness!
Night vision goggles, blowing snow. The first snowfall of the year, we would always have to fly with an instructor pilot, and so this would have been 98 in 98. And so I got out of the helicopter. I had finished my qualification, got out of the helicopter. The next pilot got in. They hovered up from the tarmac, moved over into the grassy between the runways area to do this qualification for the next pilot. And as I was walking away, all I hear, because it's pitch dark, they turn the exterior lights off of the buildings for these night flights, and it's pitch dark, and all I hear is the first blade hit the ground. And then the rest of the blades, and they had drifted slightly to the side when hovering over the blowing snow, and hit one tire against a slight slope or roughness in that tarmac, and created a critical rollover point. And that, so immediately there's this NTSB and a big investigation because it's over $1 million. No one was hurt, but it was over $1 million of damage.
Wow.
So I've been, ancillary to an investigation like this. And I will tell you, they immediately stand down the unit. They immediately, of course, everyone has to take blood work and urine tests to make sure there's no, everything's healthy and as it should be as a pilot, which we take very, very seriously, our health. And we don't take anything stronger than Sudafed when we're sick because it can affect our flight status. Wow. So we, they basically ground the unit. You're not going anywhere. They, like in this case, they grounded that airspace, that the helicopter corridor. So they take this extremely seriously. In the military, of course, you add the federal oversight and the military oversight. So there's going to be a very deep, what we call an after action report on what happened. And I can't stress enough, it was not one thing. It was not, could air traffic control, the controllers been more precise because there were multiple regional jets in the area, some taking off, some landing, and the one on approach that this happened with. So could air traffic control have been more precise and given them, more information? Another issue that's coming out is there were two different radio frequencies. The pilots were talking on one and air traffic control was another. Were they monitoring both? We won't know that until we get that voice data from the combined box the Black Hawk had.
I did not hear that part. Listen,
it's just coming out.
Well, you're amazing, and thank you for giving us your time today. I know we got to let you run. Elizabeth McCormick, a decorated former United States Army Chief Warrant Officer and Black Hawk helicopter pilot who flew command and control, air assault, rappelling top secret intelligence missions, and also transported high-level government VIPs. She's a nationally known speaker and an author, and she's an advocate for veterans. You can find her at yourinspirationalspeaker.com. How do you like going on tour and speaking before large amounts of people?
It is a huge responsibility, and I know that I can make a difference every day talking to people about becoming a helicopter pilot and overcoming obstacles in their lives.
I hope you'll come back and visit with us again. We loved having you and your insight, and most of all, we appreciate your service. Thank you so much.
It was an honor to serve. Thank you.
Yourinspirationalspeaker.com if you'd like her to speak at one of your events, and we'll have her back. She's pretty terrific.
You should also check out her Facebook page, Elizabeth McCormick, again. And if you look up Elizabeth McCormick, Black Hawk pilot, she'll pop up. She posts motivational words and quotes all the time, so just a little bit of inspiration and just to follow her.
She's terrific. She really is terrific. All right, it is 11:47. Coming up, we're going to talk about Trump's tariffs. And I heard perhaps within this year, we might see 50 cents per gallon tacked on to what we see today. I don't know. Denny will set us straight as we continue here on the first day on 93 WIBC. It's time for Denny. Everybody sing along at home, in the car, wherever you are. Here we go.
You've got a friend in
Denny. You've got a friend in Denny. When the road looks.
It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be 6 more weeks of winter.
Shush over there. I'm the one with bad news today.
You should have said shush to. Oh no, not more bad news.
You've got a friend in Denny. Oh yeah. You've got a friend in Denny. Wow.
All right, Terri.
Okay, bring us the news because I just want the honest truth.
The honest truth is nobody knows what's going to happen. Terri has been asking me about tariffs and what it means to gasoline, what it means to all of our commodities. President Trump recently imposed tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. That all took place. Started yesterday. And the Academy of Economists have almost unanimously declared that this will be inflationary and paid for by us as citizens. But a few economists have acknowledged the leverage that what these tariffs bring. J.D. Vance had a really neat interview with Maria Bartiromo. And one of the things he said was that we've been taken advantage of for years by so many different people, not the least of which is Mexico and Canada, France, Germany. And so I think Trump, from his bully pulpit, has said, look, don't mess with us. I'll put a tariff on you. Now, candidly, that will hurt us as Americans for a very brief period of time. But what this might be is a negotiating gambit to smack the snot out of them and say, hey, stop taking advantage of us. Whether it's the Germans who have been selling their German cars over here forever and then putting tariffs on us when we send ours overseas. So it's an unfair playing field, and I think that...
And it does feel like a game, and who's going to lose? Just the regular us.
I don't know.
Afraid.
I'm willing
That's what
to
I'm
give...
afraid of. At least for a minute. Now, President Trump says we're all going to be okay with this, that we all will understand when these higher prices come. But when I started to look at what we get from where...
it's pretty shocking, isn't it?
It shocks me, Denny.
We're an importing company, and if all you do as a company, and the United States as a country, as a company, really, if all you do is buy, you can be taken advantage of. What he wants to do is help us sell. And the industries that will probably benefit the most from this are the steel industry and the aluminum industry. And right here in Indiana, that means United States Steel might really benefit from this. I think it's a negotiating gambit. I think it put Mexico back on its heels and pretty much demanded that they do something about the border and the cartels and the fentanyl that's coming across the border. And those were all election issues. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I believe in his leadership abilities. He makes me mad sometimes about the way he approaches things, especially this DEI thing. He came out barking about DEI as soon as that helicopter hit. Right. It's too early for that, but I understand his issues. He's looking to make America stronger, and I'm willing to give him a benefit of a doubt. Now, here's the bad news. Last year, when a different administration was in there, we took on $5.80 worth of debt for every dollar increase in our GDP. Now that's a bad equation. Let's say that
in the GDP.
Well, it's just a religion.
What is that? GDP?
Gross domestic product. But think about Pat Sullivan. Let's bring it down to Sullivan.
Yeah, because I asked him about. He's a retailer.
All right,
businessman.
Sullivan borrows and actually makes money out of nothing, $5.8 million, so he can have $1 million more in sales. That's the equation that's been going on in the United States forever. Our interest debt last year was more than our military budget, and our military budget is larger than all the other military budgets in the world. Something has to be done. And what the voters were demanding of Trump was, hey, whatever you have to do, whoever you have to slap, whoever you have to intimidate and go after, it's okay with us because we got to deal with inflation. Unfortunately, I think the tariffs are going to be slightly inflationary, at least for the short period of time. But he's also processed or is trying to process tax cuts, which would be good for all of us. I mean,
and I've heard this from, again, there's so much stuff on the internet. You don't know what's right and wrong, and so that's why I have so many questions. I've been seeing the word from Canada and Mexico, the words retaliatory tariffs.
Yeah. So yeah, it was announced this morning that all the the Canadians, who are already nationalized in their alcoholic beverages, you can finally buy beer at their grocery stores. But it used to be that you could only buy alcohol and wine and beer at what they called the beer store. So they're saying they're going to boycott American whiskey. Well, good luck with that, Canadians, because you're a bunch of drunks sometimes.
Oh, boy, here we go.
So don't come crying if you don't get our American whiskey. That's your problem. But those type of retaliations most certainly will take place. Whirlpool, who is a big manufacturer, is going to benefit from that. They sell washing machines. China has been slapped with another tariff, which
at 10%. Was that a 10%?
At 10%.
Everybody else 25%.
Yeah, but then,
Pat explained this a little bit yesterday if you didn't hear, and it was very
interesting.
interesting.
Didn't he do a good job?
I thought he did a great job explaining how China moved some of their things to Taiwan to go out of Taiwan because they don't have any tariff. Right? Is that the way I heard it right?
Well, it was Vietnam, Taiwan, all of it.
Me, yeah.
It's all right. But the point is that this is a three-dimensional game of chess.
It is.
And we want to make sure that our president has every option and every gambit available to him. We've put our trust in him. We've gone through 4 years of sort of meandering around, and I'm not one to slam a president because I haven't been president and I don't know. But heavy hangs the head that wears the crown, and I'm willing to give Trump a little bit more time to work through this because I don't like people taking advantage of us. And as J.D. Vance said this morning with Maria Bartiromo, he said, we've been taken advantage of for decades. And it's time that stops. And I think that let's give him a chance. Now, here's the really bad news.
Oh, wow.
No matter, there's bad news. We've got a deep recession coming. I do not see us getting out of that because he cannot protect the dollar as the reserve currency. And I'm talking about Trump or the Department of Treasury. You can't protect the efficacy of the dollar and prevent inflation at the same time. You just can't do it. And one of those is going to be chosen, and I think that worldwide, Germany's already in a recession, a deep recession, and yet their stock market's going crazy. We're going to see that same thing here in the United States. We will be in a recession at some point. And I'm not in the business of making predictions, but it's pretty obvious what's happened after the yield curve inverted, and now it's re-inverted the right way. Those are all bellwethers that we've got some bad stuff coming our way. So I'm going to...
You mean like March?
What? I don't know. I'm not going to call the time. It's real easy to call what's going to happen if you don't say the time when it's going to happen. So anyway, there you go. Dollars
okay,
and
no,
cents.
listen, I'm grateful that you did that for us, and I know we'll be talking about this for the next few weeks. Just
be
betcha.
patient. I will say be patient.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Smith. We've got another hour. Will you stick around, please? By the way, Kielynn told me just recently that we're on YouTube streaming. Thanks for joining us on YouTube as well. Today's top stories are coming up next right here on 93 WIBC.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can
Or no, it's not morning. Oh, man.
You messed it up already. Does that mean we're going to have to restart?
You're welcome to
that's
Groundhog
a good
Day.
point. Let's
Great
just repeat.
point, Denny. Right.
Let's just do it again.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
A little bit of Bill
We'll
Murray.
fix it. Here we go.
Doing it over.
Good afternoon. Oh, wait for the drums.
Good morning.
afternoon.
I mean,
You get a do-over and you do it the same way.
I
This is
said good
Groundhog.
afternoon. She said good morning. She was doing Groundhog Day.
Who was the actress? Andy McDowell. That's
Andy
what I'm
McDowell
trying
with
to
those beautiful curls. We're glad you're here. This is the second hour of the First Day magazine show. In case you missed our conversation with Elizabeth McCormick, Army veteran and former Black Hawk helicopter pilot, you can hear our conversation on the First Day blog at WIBC.com. Kielynn puts that up for us after the show. I'm Terry. Kielynn's over there.
good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Happy Groundhog's Day. We're chugging along.
We're chugging along. If you missed it, Punxy Phil said 6 more months of winter, or 6 more months, 6 more weeks of winter.
You're
and
really
then
doing well over
Hey,
there.
it is National Bird Feeding Month. So it's a good reminder if you have those bird feeders. I just put mine out last night, got some bird seed, some fresh, and I cannot wait to see more birds and hear more of their beautiful birds.
They are eating. Denny, by the way, is here too. Denny Smith.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry,
thank
I
you
didn't-
to all of the people who are watching us on YouTube. I just learned a new term. Are you ready?
Ready.
Jennifer Schmidt Schoolcraft says, for those of you who do not know, inhales vigorously is actually a polite speech for the word sucks. Jennifer, you made my day.
Inhale vigorously.
Yeah, but the whole
Thank
crew's
you.
back. We've got lots of people.
Yeah, thank you all for watching so much. Kind comments always make our day. About the time Denny and I hate the camera.
Oh, God.
And so when we get some nice things, then we're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's sticking around with us on YouTube. We've got the 67th Annual Grammy Awards are on tonight. Do we care? Does anybody care about this?
I care about the performances.
I like them. Me too.
I'm excited.
This is the one award show that I like.
I don't like performances, yes, but the music is what it's all about, and I'm sorry.
Hosted by Trevor Noah. This is his 5th consecutive year. There are 94 categories. Denny, I'm going to go through all of them. Because we've got 6 minutes.
There goes the show.
Oh,
Hello and
but
goodbye.
listen,
this beats reading from the dictionary.
The Beatles. Okay, I did not know this. The Beatles, if I'm looking at the right website, this could be from a long time ago. But Record of the Year, the Beatles are nominated for Now and Then.
Wow, I'm
Do we
not
know
there.
that, Kielynn? Can you see what that is?
Interesting.
Now
Okay.
and Then.
For Record of the Year. Billie Eilish will perform, love Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga, and Bruno Mars. Where has he been? Bruno Mars will perform I Love Him. Shakira. Guess how old Shakira is? 40-something. She's almost 50. She's amazing. Amazing.
You lost me at Lady Gaga. I think she's one of the most talented actresses
too.
and also musicians. But
Yeah.
seeing her in A Star Is Born, wow, was she good?
I know. Okay, best before Kielynn finds the song. Did you find it yet? Now and Then. The Beatles.
No, I was too busy looking up why.
Oh,
I was just intrigued by
me too.
All of it.
I think that, but I'm right. They're up for Record of the Year. The song. Is there a song? Oh, here it is. Maybe this is old, Denny. Hold on. Let's listen.
Before that
together,
pops out,
all of us.
Freddie Williams says, I'm in pest control, and people who have bird feeders usually have mice problems.
Oh, well, thanks for the call out.
This is the Beatles.
It's all because of you.
No, it's not. Is it?
And if I
Oh, yeah.
make it through,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all because of you.
It's not bad. Record of the Year in this year's Grammys. It's not bad. Not bad at all. We'll start with Denny Paul.
Uh-oh.
Best concert you've ever seen, best performance, live performance you've ever seen in the state of Indiana.
I haven't gone to too many in the state of it.
It's
Okay,
okay.
Neil Diamond. We saw Neil Diamond 3 times, and the last time we saw him snagged front row seats. Got to see Linda Press, who was his backup singer forever. His piano player, who was from Indiana University, got to almost see his fingers hitting the keys. It was the best concert I've
That's
ever
cool.
been to.
Very cool.
I thought you were going to ask, best concert ever was Jethro Tull in Cleveland Stadium, or in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I could not see because there was so much marijuana smoke. I mean, I was as straight as they come, and I was getting high just from the fog at that. But Jethro Tull, he played that flute and danced
Denny.
around barefoot.
Imagine
Oh my God!
Denny high.
Oh no!
That would be something.
Yeah.
Kielynn,
I don't know,
a little
he doesn't need
younger.
the help.
Best concert you've ever seen in your young life?
I really enjoyed. I love my newer country music, but that was a really good concert. I went to see Jordan Davis last year at White River.
Yeah.
And then Caitlin Clark was pulled up on the stage and performed with him.
cool. Oh, boy.
It was a good highlight. And
That's
then I
cool.
also watched Glass Animals at Ruoff, and that one was also very, very aesthetic.
Forgive me,
performance.
I have never heard of Glass Animals. See, that's
Ooh.
the generational difference.
They have.
Did you know who Jethro Tull was, by the way?
No.
No, you did
No,
not.
I let that one slide through.
Yeah, right.
Pull up a song by Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
And see if you like it even.
Thick as a brick. Pull up Thick as a brick. How about you, Terry? Did you ever go to one?
Oh my gosh, I've seen so many great concerts. I truly have. And I think one of my favorites, truly, Rod Stewart put on a great concert, but I think even better, the one that I always will remember is Paul McCartney.
Wow.
Here in
With
Indianapolis. You know what? I think it was just Paul. Was it with Wings back then, ladies and gentlemen? Here you go, Jethro Tull.
This one out.
Do you like it?
He's playing the flute and dancing.
I
My
love
words
that.
but a whisper, your deafness, a shout. I may make you feel, but I can't make you think.
Wow. Oh, I wish the camera were on Denny right now. He's doing his little dance with the flute.
One of the concerts that I just loved so much was Dennis DeYoung came in, and Peter Frampton did this too. Came in after their highlighted years, after their big years, after they're extremely famous to me, and then they came in, each of them, and performed with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. And that was cool. Dennis DeYoung of Styx. And it was and Peter Frampton too, just standing there by himself up on the stage at Hilbert Circle Theater and the orchestra with him. Such great shows, truly. But this brings us to the end of this segment.
Denny, real quick, here's Heat Waves, Glass
Okay.
Animals' #1 hit over the summer. That was their top song.
Okay.
Sometimes all I think about is you.
Most people would know this.
Jenny should have the camera. I'm going to put the camera on you.
No, can't you get into the rhythm of music? I dance every morning while I'm shaving. Jane comes in, brings me a cup of coffee. She goes, please turn down the music. But I'm dancing while I'm shaving.
There's nothing wrong
That
with it. You
sounds
should dance
scary.
like nobody's watching.
Did I
Isn't
mention
that
I was just in my underwear while I was shaving? But
Okay, that's you don't
that's
need
too
to-
much.
that
Yeah.
was too much.
Don't, music can engulf you. I mean, it can take
Oh
over
my
your
gosh.
soul.
Hey, you know what? Hey, speaking of music, Annie the Musical, I'm going to tell you about a deal to get some tickets right quick before you go today. How about that?
Okay.
Tomorrow?
Oh, you mean
Next.
now? No,
Next.
you're not going to tell.
Tomorrow.
Oh, now after
In
coming
3
out?
minutes.
In 3 minutes.
How about that?
It was
If
the
you
song.
want to. Is that what you want
Do
to
you want me to tell them right now?
No, we'll take a break. We'll take a break, and Kielynn will have that information for you
Yeah.
coming up and more as we continue here on the first day on 93 WIBC.
The
Kid, together at last, together forever.
This isn't my favorite Annie song.
It made me happy. It made me
Daddy
think of you guys.
Warbucks is dancing in
I
this
don't like
one.
this one. I wasn't a fan of Annie.
My grandson was with Daddy Warbucks in the 7th grade play.
What are we doing? Okay, I watched this on Friday for opening night, and this song made me immediately think of our crew because I had missed you guys. 1 week away makes me sad. So,
Wow.
together at last.
You know, I missed you all too. But we are back together.
Anything but you.
Today's the last day to catch Annie. You've got to head over real quick if you're going to watch it. It starts at 1, so head over right now. Students, seniors, teachers, and first responders, with a valid ID, of course, you can purchase up to 2 tickets, 50% off right now. So run over, get 50% off your tickets. It's at Clues Memorial Hall, again at 1 p.m. The dog absolutely
the dog.
stole
What was
the
the
show.
dog's name?
The actual dog's name was Kevin, but I don't remember.
What's
Sandy.
it? Sandy. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Sandy, where were you at this, Denny? Where
My son's
he
no
knows.
my son's first dog, he wanted to name it Sandy.
He did.
Yeah, we thought it was after his kindergarten teacher, but it turned out to be after Sandy the dog. And in Annie.
It was so cute. The cast did wonderful.
Oh, good.
Annie is absolutely talented. Hazel
Good.
is the actress.
Did they put a red-haired
Good.
curly wig on her?
It was straight-haired, and then she curled it for the end for the Christmas party.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very sweet. Very sweet indeed.
Well, it's 12:19. We've got 44 degrees in downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah, let's move on.
I got my Hoosier Veterans newsletter recently, and I saw the news about Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs partnership with At Ease Orchard. Now, it's located in Wilkinson in Henry County, and once I found out what At Ease Orchard is, which is not easy to say, At Ease Orchard is, I wanted to share it with all of you. So joining us now is the founder of At Ease Orchard, retired Colonel of the United States Army, Joe Rickard. How are you, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing fine. Joe, I'm ashamed I didn't know this story sooner, but we're going to go through it. And I want everybody to know, too, that Joe has a 30-year distinguished career in the Army. He was 30 years serving in what part of our world, Joe?
So I did Afghanistan, Iraq, and the Pentagon, and I'm not sure which was more difficult.
Okay. Well, once you retired and you came home after all those years, did you know what was next?
Yeah, so I actually bought the farm in about 2016, and I expected to retire earlier than I did, and somebody got a little bit foolish in the Army and decided to promote me. So I did my last tour out at the Pentagon, and I had a veteran family and then a veteran stay in my house just to manage the farm while I was gone. But I really started doing the work, the nonprofit, grabbing the trees and the apples about 2021 when I was in a program called DoD Skill Bridge back in Indiana.
Why did you want, obviously my question was going to be, did you know anything about farming? But you do. And that's where you found Wilkinson and found At Ease Orchard. Was it already an orchard? Or no, you did all that on your own?
No, we did that all on our own. Funny enough, I found out later on that across the street from me was an orchard a long time ago. The property I bought was a horse farm. And so we planted all the trees, a little bit of an operation in the middle of a cold winter in 2018 and then 2019. The kind of the spring winter time is the best time to plant when the ground's just getting out of frost. And I knew nothing about farming. I mean, I think the good thing about me is that I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, was a suburban kid with a small backyard. And then when I retired, I figured, hey, I just don't want to go back to government work. So I became a farmer, and I think I like to express my experience to a lot of veterans that come out of service saying, it's possible. It's a good time.
Talk about the mission of At Ease Orchard.
So we started out with a USDA specialty crop grant, and we focused on beekeeping, and we had some partner organizations. There's a program out of Michigan called Heroes to Hives, and they teach beekeeping. So about the first 2 or 3 years, we were really giving out beehives and doing classes and really getting into beekeeping. And then it kind of grew a little bit where people came to me from other agriculture areas. I also work with Purdue in a program called Agribility, where we help people with disabilities get into or continue on in farming after they're injured. So kind of just grew, and then it exploded. I got the American Farm Bureau Federation Award, and then the partnership with IDBA. So this year is going to be a rocking year for us.
You guys have grown so much. It's amazing what you've done at Ease Orchard. You mentioned some of those classes. Can you talk about some of those in-person classes or events that you have at Ease Orchard?
Yeah, so we do a couple things. One of them, we start out with beekeeping, so they were kind of doing some cycle hands-on classes with veterans, on how to beekeep aligned with seasons. And then we got an NRCS Equity and Conservation Partnership grant. So then we expanded to two other farms that were veteran farms. One is in Danville and one is in Anderson. And then at those veteran farms and my farm in Wilkinson, we put on classes. And we've done classes, high tunnels and pruning apple trees and how to make a rain barrel, how to stratify seeds, and just kind of the whole plethora of them, welcoming the community and veterans to come in and learn about things.
The veterans, the healing power of what you're doing, of what you're teaching. Those that have come out recently from service or those that have been out of service for a bit, and what this does for them. And for you too, Joe.
So we get quite the different group of people. We get some that have been really through some service, I'll say trauma, either through injury or mental. And we work with them. I think sometimes dirt therapy causes people to open up. We have some resources and some directions that we give people with them, and there's some training that will direct them to like the VA resources. A lot of veterans are not wanting to go to VA resources until they find out or find a veteran that's been through it and know, hey, it's not that bad. It's a good way to make yourself healthier. And then we just have some people that have retired or did maybe a tour of Vietnam or a little bit of a tour in the military, and they just want to come out and meet other veterans. I mean, it's a camaraderie, it's a community where people can say, hey, I was at this base. Oh, yeah, I was at this base too. And, a little bit of brazzing when it comes to some of the branches. But it brings people, I think, back to where they were at, years ago in service, and knowing that they're going to be taken care of and help move forward.
Some of the organizations I hear from, like, let's say, the American Legion or some of those organizations that opens the doors for veterans to come in, and many still do, but I also hear that many don't, particularly the younger generation that has just come out of service. They don't go to these kind of places, and it sounds like this is what kind of a newer way for that bonding that you're talking about, that healing. It's just going on outside on the farm.
Some veterans come out and they just want to be on their own, kind of manage themselves. They've been told what to do for a long time, right? So this is an opportunity where they can try their hands at either making a business out of it or, really just succeed at homesteading and spend that quality time and centralize back into the family bond.
Now you've expanded. You're nationwide.
Yeah, so we do offer a program that we're standing off called the Vet Farm Network, and we're going to go nationally. That's going to be some peer counseling. We're trying to do conferences if we can get a grant for it in other states. And then we're also going to do webinars. People come in the ability that they're able to come, and so we want to offer a plethora of things. It's sometimes hard to travel with the family over an hour, so in-person events don't always work. There's a lot of need out there. I have contact many times a week with veterans across the nation that are, hey, I want to get into farming. Can you help me? And I think they really want that voice to talk to, on one end of a phone that they can call back. And a lot of them want to start nonprofits like I have. And I think that's wonderful because I don't plan to move out of Indiana. So I'd love to partner with people out of state that want to do a nonprofit and mentor them into how they're doing it as well. It's a team of teams approach, as General McChrystal used to say.
Oh, my gosh, it's so cool. This is retired Colonel of the United States Army, Joe Ricker, who's found a way to help veterans move forward and find a love and a passion with the earth in farming and beekeeping. And you're a nonprofit.
I know you need some help as you continue to grow and expand. Mostly financial, Joe, or are there other ways that you need help?
We'll really take any type of help we can get. They can look us up on addiesorchard.org or donate there, or just shoot me an email. My email address is on there as well, and happy to connect. And if there's any veterans out there that want to connect and get involved, I do respond to all the emails and appreciate all the donations, and we'll take help any way we can get it.
What an organization. I'm so glad that we found you. And again, this is at easeorchard.org. And thank you for your 30 years of service, but you're still doing it. You're still giving back, and you're still serving us. We appreciate you so much, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for the time today.
You bet.
We'll get you the top stories coming up next right here on 93 WIBC.
Stay warm and cozy all winter long with a
Indianapolis, cloudy skies. 12:34. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for all of you that are joining us on our YouTube page. Terry, Denny, Kielynn. February is Black History Month. And there's a pretty cool story, Denny, about a ball player that we loved.
He was from my era.
Oh,
it was George McGinnis. His teammates loved him. One of his more prominent teammates was Steve Downing. And they just announced that the Washington gym is going to be named after George McGinnis.
Cool?
It really was. He was one of the nicest guys in the world.
Truly.
He used to play over at Speedway at Meadowood Park, which was a real gathering place for the West Side. And my old buddy Tom Gilbert from my class, 1970, George graduated in 69, as did Downing, and they went to IU. And they were a powerhouse down there. George only played one season for them, but he was, if I remember right, he was the first player to ever score a triple-double from IU. He was a rebounder, he was a shooter, and he was a very gracious ball handler, and he shared with everybody.
Just a cool guy and sharp-dressed man.
Yeah,
boy.
he was just a nice guy.
A nice guy. They're going to do that ceremony, the renaming ceremony, planned for 6 p.m. on February 20th, just prior to the game between visiting Shortridge and Washington. Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Washington was the West Side High School forever. I mean, they were a powerhouse. Billy Keller came out of Washington High School, Mr. Basketball.
Oh, my mom loved him.
But anyway, I'm just glad that he's getting the honors. I wish he could see them himself alive. But
me too.
You know, and we lost another big basketball player, Frank Kendrick, who was a Purdue star, just the nicest guy in the world, had a little bit of a speech impediment, and he worked for the plumbing company. And the plumbers loved him. He loved the plumbers, but he wouldn't unload the truck because he was afraid it would hurt his $1 million hands. So we always had to have a helper with him to unload the truck because he didn't want to hurt his basketball career. But these were guys that were from my era, and I loved them.
For sure. Well, as we mentioned, it is Black History Month. Kielynn is...
And joining us now is Sampson Levingston. He's the founder of Through Two Eyes, Indiana, and Walk and Talk Indy. He's a friend of First Day. Sampson, thank you for joining us.
We're so glad you're
here. Thank you so much for having me. I love being here. It feels like a home to me.
We're thankful for all of the information that you pass along.
Thank you.
For Black History Month, there is so much strong history here in Indiana. Share some of those little bits that we could learn from and how our community was built.
No, for sure.
This is a big topic. I mean, right? So we're just going to, and maybe every week, we're going to feature one of your great stories.
Appreciate you.
So, yeah, let's do it.
No, I'm excited. And I feel like Black history and Indiana history really go right in hand, and especially here in the city of Indianapolis. But, you know, speaking to like everybody in Indiana, Black people have been everywhere throughout our history. And so like, even if you look at like a town where my mom is from, Mount Vernon in Posey County by Evansville, had a like pretty large Black population, like per capita down there in like the early 1900s. Same with like cities like Jeffersonville and New Albany, as people were crossing the Ohio River and getting work along the river associated with that, you know. And then even up into like the Great Migration, when you have a lot of African Americans moving up from down south, coming to Indianapolis, coming to Gary, coming to Fort Wayne, South Bend, Terre Haute, Richmond, Indiana, just looking for opportunities to provide for their families and their communities. And so anywhere you look for Black history in Indiana, you will find it. It's just sometimes it is overlooked. And part of the way the demographics of these cities have changed is that a lot of them that had a Black population, it started to dwindle down. And so talking about that history has kind of been something that has been a little bit harder to do because it may not be as a personal of connection for the people that are remaining in some of these towns. But especially here in Indianapolis, where we do have a growing Black population, I think it's really important to kind of highlight where we are now and also talk about the beginnings of some of that.
What are some of your favorite nuggets of Black history that you'd like to share with us?
Man, I really love the story of just like Indiana Avenue. That was one of the first things that really gravitated me to like talking about all of this. And the Crispus Attucks documentary, it's a 4-part documentary that it really kind of opened your eyes to like what's happened here in Indianapolis. And it tells the story of Indianapolis, but it's focused on this Black neighborhood that's around Crispus Attucks. And so as you look at all these people moving up, and some people from Indiana have been in Indiana for a long time. Other people just getting here from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and they see Indiana as this like beacon of hope. Then they find this neighborhood where maybe Walker Theater's already there. There's jazz clubs, there's restaurants, there's schools that are for them. And so they're like, okay, this is going to be my home, my area. This was going to be where I build my life. And it's cool to see like that neighborhood develop, then also the Martindale Brightwood neighborhood develop. But there was just so much there. It's almost unbelievable.
You know, and I think back, as you take me back in history to that time, I wonder what it looked like.
Same.
You know, I wonder what that actual neighborhood looked like. And if some of those houses and some of those places are still there. We know, obviously, Madam Walker Theater is still there and some of that history. But I think when you think about what was there back then.
I want you to think of any city. Let's say like Greensburg, Indiana. Let's say we're talking about Lebanon. Let's say we're talking about Kokomo. I want you to think about Main Street and what that looked like down there. All the cuteness of Main Street per se, and the little theater that's there, and the coffee shop that's there. And you can walk around and you can get different things at different stores. It's not all the giant Walmart, or not to say anything's wrong with that or whatever, but like each store had its own item. And so walking up and down Main Street was cool. It was a place to be seen. So everything that's similar about like some of these towns in Indiana was the same thing that's happening here in Indianapolis, but on Indiana Avenue. So think about Indiana Avenue as just like essentially good old Main Street. And it looks like what it looked like and felt like a neighborhood of a growing city. And so it's unfortunate we can't see too much of that anymore. There's like phenomenal old pictures that I love to show people when I'm doing my tours. It was really just like, people call it Black Wall Street because of how prosperous the neighborhood was. But in my head, sometimes I view it as just Black Main Street. It was just the neighborhood, you know?
What are some of the now things of Indiana Avenue?
Yeah, well, this is fitting, like, because we have this big wrestling weekend, and like people know Triple H, and I talk about how the highways, the hospitals, and higher education, 3 big H's, have came through and wiped out most of what the Avenue was. And so the big things that are still left are really Walker Theater, Crispus Attucks High School, Bethel AME Church, which is now a hotel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's now a hotel. It's like the lobby of the Hampton Inn and Homewood Suites. It's kind of really hard to see. It's on Vermont and West Street. But the church has been there since 1894.
Yeah.
Madam C.J. Walker went to church there. And so it's a beautiful building. We're so fortunate that it's been saved by Indiana Landmarks because we've lost so many of them. And it's cool that it's still there. And it's being used. And I think that's something that, if you think about a place like St. Joseph's Brewery, because people ask me, how do you feel about the church being a hotel now? And I'm like, well, because of the dynamics of the neighborhood, it's going to be hard for it to remain a church that had the membership levels that it did during its heyday. But if you look at like a brewery like St. Joseph's, I know the Catholics like to drink a little bit. I went to Catholic school. But it's a brewery now. So it's like, let's keep these buildings alive. Let's keep them alive any way that we can. They got to be profitable. And people like that nostalgic feeling of seeing an old brick wall or things like that. Churches really tell a good example of like who was there. A German Catholic church in a neighborhood or something, like it's a German neighborhood. You know, like, okay, this helps. Like, this is a Slovenian church when we're in Hallville. Okay, a lot of Slovenians were here. So, this was a Black church? Well, it wouldn't be just in a white neighborhood. This was a Black neighborhood that was here. And so these churches kind of tell us a lot about the neighborhoods that we're in, too.
It is 1242, Sampson, Levingston, through 2 eyes. It is one of the best walk and talks you'll experience here. Even if you think you know everything about Indianapolis, you will learn these nuggets from him.
And we'll continue learning throughout the month, every Sunday. Sampson, thank you so much for joining us. You'll come back and give us some more information through the number 2eyes.com to see what he's up to and maybe schedule a tour with him too.
Sampson, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining us. It is 12:43. We've got food news coming up next after the break on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel here, and we
47.
Why do I have to be the one that brings up that Cardi B got a new...
We were talking about the Grammys tonight and music in general, and then Denny comes with this little bit of information.
Cardi B was bragging that she got her butt crack posted with a jewel, and I'm going, what?
That's so weird.
I don't want my granddaughter listening
We're
to this.
about to eat.
Oh, well.
So I already ate. I ate it.
Oh,
It's food news time. By the way, what was that song? She's playing
this one
Grammy
is
songs
Sabrina
for us.
Carpenter, Lover, Espresso.
About the coffee? Or does it mean something different?
Well,
in
depends
cool
who you
language?
ask.
Oh.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Lots of great performers, though. Benson Boone, as we mentioned. Hopefully, Charlie XCX, John Legend, Sheryl Crow. So many great people.
Bruno
Billie Eilish.
Mars.
Oh,
I've
very
missed Bruno
excited.
Mars.
Did you see who the presenters were?
Besides Taylor?
Olivia Rodrigo, Queen Latifah.
Oh, I love her.
Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Victoria Monet. Will Smith is going to be doing that.
Oh, dear.
Anthony Kiedis and Chad Smith.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
You don't
That's
know
a great
who those
lineup.
are.
No, but
You're so funny. You're in the middle of a spot and you're eating.
It wasn't good. Wasn't good.
Food news.
It's time for food news, and I love the food she brought. Hit it, Kielynn.
Glorious food.
Oh.
God, I love what she brings in.
Now, before we get to this lovely deliciousness, I've got a couple things to mention for you. First off, a few congratulations. Long's just celebrated their 70 years of business.
No
Congratulations to Long's. 70 years. Denny, that's
70
almost
years
as old
of
as you. No.
Joy and happiness.
Real nice.
Thanks.
But we did those as a kid. I mean, it's always been down there real close to the river. That's always where we went.
Love them.
Another congratulations to Mochi Joy Donut and Fishers. They just had their grand opening. Crate Escapes in Westfield. Denny, have you heard of them?
I have not.
Crate Escapes. They celebrated their grand opening last weekend. So they've been open for about a week now. It's
a great idea.
Imagine a doggy daycare. It's a dog park plus a bar.
I think I know where it is.
Oh, is that so? It's got a half it and
where is it?
1.5 acres of
pretty
land
cool.
as well. Just dog park outside. It's in Westfield. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
You've probably flown over it.
A couple weeks ago, you brought in Bee's Bagels.
Mm-hmm.
That's real close to my house. I went over there for the Bee's Bagels.
Aren't
the
they so
place
good?
was packed.
Was it?
And it was first class
So
food.
good.
First class
That
food.
bagel, she brought us that bagel sandwich
Yeah.
with the hash browns. And I mean, it just was the best bagel sandwich I've ever
And
had.
I ran into her while we were there, and I said, thanks for being... Oh, she goes, the place has been jumping since you guys came. Did they?
bless her heart.
It's going to be jumping anyway
I'm glad.
forever.
They're good. Support local. She's local.
Yep. We'll be talking to Crate Escapes later on, but pretty much anyone without a dog is welcome to come for free and just hang out. They have a little tap bar where you can just serve yourself your own drink, and it's pretty awesome. But to bring your dog, you have to be either a Crate Escapes member or purchase a guest pass. So go to their website and get a little bit more information and get that trained. But
Always a good idea to bring your vaccination history for the puppy.
Yes.
That gets rid of all the questions.
That's a good tip.
And it's just a great place to go and hang out. They have referees, trained staff to help with the dogs too. You can let them off the leash and they can just go and hang out with the other dogs and a little play moment for your dogs. Really fun. Devour Indy's last day is today. DevourIndy.com to see all the restaurants and the exclusive menus. Terry and I got to visit a Devour restaurant.
We did. We took Allison. We went over I got a great gift certificate from our friend Bill Dimmer, the retirement guy, and also from the Indiana Children's Wish. And so we went over and had the Devour menu.
At
and it
Ruth's
was
Chris.
spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
What a great
With
place to go.
stuffed chicken with all kinds of cheeses. And I mean, it just was a really good experience. We enjoyed it very much.
Mm-hmm. It was very good.
Last day today.
Last day. I tried many restaurants this season for Devour
did.
Winterfest. Can I list them off?
Yeah, why
Go
don't you?
for
All
it.
right, we got Mama Corolla's, Ding
Good.
Livery. I tried the one downtown, but there's also one in Noblesville if that's closer to you.
Livery's great. I think that's one of
Grindstone?
Peyton Manning's favorites.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
I
know,
could
I just
see
said
why.
that. I mean,
the
I just said
paella,
it.
it was spicier than I remembered it, but it was still delicious. Amazing. And then the churros to finish it off. Grindstone on the Monon. I tried the one in Westfield, but there's also another one in Noblesville. Kona Grill. Roost, who has one in Fishers and Nora. And then this one was a highlight. Rise. There's one in at the Ironworks District in Nora. There's one in Fishers, and then also in Carmel. And that is our food news tasting of the day.
Wonderful.
But we already ate it.
Well, you guys did. If you're on
was so
YouTube,
good.
I've got
Eat
a nice
yours, Missy.
I've got a nice little
There you go.
sample. It's
Can
hard
you
to
show
see with
them?
the light, but
Now,
good
wait
luck.
a minute. That was
It's
divided
good.
into fourths. You got a fourth. I got a fourth. Kielynn got a half.
There you go.
It was
Good luck.
plenty, though. I mean, my
She's a
fourth
middle
was
chick.
pretty plenty.
And
I mean,
that's
because
just
it's
the
so big.
starter. That's just the starter.
It's good. That is really one of the best. Cinnamon roll. She warmed that up. Little stuff on the top. Delicious.
It
That's
had
from Rise.
An orange glaze
Yeah.
hint to it. So
Very nice.
It's good.
I won't lie, my first bite, I was kind of taken aback by how much orange it was, but it grows on you. And then you might be like Denny and just be eating out of the icing cup, licking your plate clean.
Did you have to wrap me out? My wife's
It's okay, I
listening.
did it too.
No, I know. The icing really is good.
Okay, I saw this on my feed earlier this week. Chameleon Coffee it will pay you $75,000 to travel the U.S. and drink coffee, plus health insurance and travel costs.
How much money?
$75K. $75,000
Oh my gosh,
salary.
Denny.
What do you think about
We
that?
could split that in half and just drive around and go. Well, here's the thing. I don't like coffee.
You get paid housing during the trip, a daily per diem for food and essentials, and all the coffee. Well, yeah, you're right. If you don't like,
But if you're putting all the stuff in it, I like it. If you're putting all the different
Can I just have the
flavors and
creamer?
everything, yeah.
yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
that'd
For
be good.
$75,000?
Oh,
Wow.
Terry, this might not be you. Who
'Cause
can
I'm too
apply?
old.
You'll need to be 21 or older. Check. Do you have a clean driving record?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Knock
okay,
on
okay,
wood.
okay.
I
Have a
just
passion for
blew it.
adventure. Terry, this is you.
This is me.
You
I
could
be
do
the
this.
person that traveled. This could be my future.
It's kind of like the Oscar Mayer
Wienermobile.
Yeah.
I get to drive around the Wienermobile.
Or the
although not-
Planters Nutmobile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys
Planters
see?
Nutmobile.
You remember who Joan Collins is, Terry?
I do.
She's 91 years old, and there's a new film coming out about Wallis Simpson. She was the one, the socialite, that was divorced and ended up getting involved with the King of England, and then he had to abdicate.
Ooh, this would be a good story.
This will be a good story, but she's 91 years old, and she's going to be playing that part. I'm anxious. The way they get plastic surgery going now,
Yeah.
you would never guess that Joan Collins is 91 years old.
There's another one we watched last night. It has actually been out for a little bit, and it's normally on Hulu, but they're showing it on FX as well, and it's called Paradise. And it is about, I will just let you know, it's about you can't really tell when it is, what decade, what year it is, but it's about the bodyguard for the president. It's the story surrounds it. It is so good. And you can catch up. Paradise. It's called Paradise. And it's a drama. It's a thriller. It's wow every turn.
Is this the one
and
that I've
it's
heard?
so
You were the
good.
last one to see the president alive.
Yes.
Okay, I remember
That's the one.
trailers for it.
I highly recommend it. I don't get into too many often shows like this that are dramatic and you have to continue to
I'm a
follow
big-
unless it's The Bachelorette.
I'm a
But
big main cabin masters is about as much as I will
right,
pre-record.
but this is such a great story. It really is. I can tell this is going to be a great series.
Can I say, this was like dinner and a show, listening to you talk about this
About
series
this-
while having my cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll. Okay.
Again from Rice. I hope you get to visit a Devour restaurant today.
I do too.
DevourIndy.com.
It's the last day.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
And even the Conrad.
Oh,
Terry, I know
so
that's where
good.
you eat your
Oh, the
lunch is
Conrad.
at the Conrad. This is the last day for that at the Conrad, too.
Delicious.
Well, we've just got, about another minute or two, Kielynn?
Yep, just a minute.
Just to remind you guys, don't forget NASCAR for all of you NASCAR fans. Starts today. Starts tonight. 8 o'clock tonight on Fox. We've got the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem. I get excited about it because, I won't follow NASCAR through the whole season, but I always love the first one. A Daytona 500 following. It just gets you kind of excited about spring, and you can almost smell it, and it's ready to go.
All the Groundhog said 6 more weeks of
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
Punxsutawney Phil
you know
and
what?
Hope.
Happy Chinese New Year for those celebrating. It is the year of the snake. Terry, you need this. It's the year of the snake. It symbolizes shedding negativity, shedding their skin.
Oh.
Get it all out of there.
Yeah.
Is that what it
signifies?
symbolizes?
Good
For
luck,
those of you who don't know,
rebirth.
I ride Terry. Terry
love it.
is so self-deprecating. She rides herself down so much, and I say, I don't want to hear that. It just gripes me. I said, you're a good kid. Talk positive about yourself.
So shed that negativity and come
Shut
back
it
next
down.
Sunday
Cameras.
for more sunshine.
Yeah.
Listen, hey, Denny, thanks for coming back again today. Kielynn, thank you for everything. We had some great
Happy
guests.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you. If you missed anything, please visit us on WIBC.com. Just look for the First Day blog. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next weekend right here on 93 WIBC. Fox News is next.
The holidays are over, and the new year is here, making it the perfect time to think about